Well, once again, money talks, and a big money interest in the gun community got their way and maintained violations of our rights as U.S. citizens. Hey everybody, Yankee here. As you know, we've been following the Hearing Protection Act drama as it's been unfolding here. And yesterday we announced it got removed from the bill, the Hearing Protection Act, the Short Act. Well, today the Hearing Protection Act is back, but it's not back in the way it was. It is not amending the NFA. They are not taking it off the NFA. They are not reducing the law, nothing. All they're doing is lowering the tax stamp. And if you'll remember, this is what one of the big silencer companies, Silencer Shop, paid for. When they heard that silencers were going to come off the NFA, when suppressors were going to come off the NFA, well, they panicked because that was going to destroy their business model. They profited off that infringement on our rights. So they greased a lot of palms in Congress, a lot of money. And they changed the language to just reducing the tax stamp. Well, that got out. People heard about it, thanks to a lot of people in the gun community speaking up. And they said, oh, well, we'll put it back to where it is. Well, they put it back in a way that they knew it would get taken out, and then they would be able to put it back to what they were paid to do, which is just reduce the tax stamp. So to me, this is nothing. It's not worth supporting the bill for. There's too much bad stuff in the bill for me to support the bill because of this. Because all it's going to do is reduce the cost a little bit. And a lot of times nowadays, the cost of suppressors is so inflated that they'll often pay the tax stamp for you if you buy them. So the cost of the tax stamp's not an issue. It's the fact that they are regulated through the NFA, that our rights are infringed upon. That's what we were trying to get back, our actual rights, our protected Second Amendment rights. It wasn't about $200, especially not when these items cost $1,000, $1,500 and more. The $200 tax stamp was not the issue. When you're paying that much money for like a $100 item, that isn't the big issue. The issue was the infringement on our rights. The issue is the NFA itself. And taking suppressors, silencers, some people call them. The manufacturers call them that, so I don't know why people get so upset when you call them silencers. But taking those off, taking short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns off, the money part wasn't a big thing. It would have been a big blow to the NFA. It would have reduced the scope of the NFA quite a bit. That would have been a victory. What we're getting now, that's not a victory. That's window dressing. That's something just to try to, make you think you got something. And it's politicians keeping their word to the people who grease their palms, put money in their accounts. So as far as I'm concerned, Silencer Shop won today. Us as consumers and as citizens whose rights are being infringed, we lost. Because Silencer Shop, like I said, managed to pay politicians to take away the parts that actually solved the issue and just make it, a figurative win, a smokescreen, where they could still maintain their ridiculous business model where they make a fortune off of cheap items and maintain the infringements that makes it possible for them to do that. So for people who are thinking of letting them off the hook because, they didn't win in the end. No, they won. They won from the moment they spent all that money. There was no way the politicians were going to take that money and then say, here you can have it back because we didn't do what we promised we'd do. They said, hey, people noticed what we were doing when they first took it off. We had to put it back in. Don't worry, it'll work out in the end. We'll get it done. We know how to do this. We know how to manipulate it to make it look like we're doing something when we're not. And like I said, in the end, the big money of Silencer Shop won out over the rights of the people. Because like I said, they greased the right palms. They snuggled up to the right politicians. And unfortunately, there's enough people in the gun community that are stupid enough to think this is still a win to where they'll get away with it. The infringement will stand. The tax stamp was not the issue. The cost of the tax stamp was not the issue. The problem was that you had to get the tax stamp to begin with. That fact is the issue. And that has had nothing done about it now. All you got was a little $200 victory that it'll cost you a little less for the actual suppressors. But don't be surprised if you see suppressors inch up a little bit in price. And they'll stop doing those, oh, we'll pay you tax stamp, so they'll just charge you full price for your suppressor still, like they've been doing. They charge you full price, but they say, oh, we're paying the tax stamp, which means they're giving you a $200 discount. Well, they'll just quit doing that. So it's not going to cost you any less. Eventually, it'll cost you the same, if not more, because now they're even more established that they can maintain the infringements as long as they pay off the right people. And that is disgusting. So as far as I'm concerned, if anyone ever buys anything from Silencer Shop, you don't give two shits about your constitutional rights or anyone else's constitutional rights. So I don't want to hear you giving lip service to it, because you don't care. You're all right with a big organization that's got millions of dollars using those dollars to maintain infringements on your rights so that they can continue to profit. And don't tell me, well, that's just business. No, it isn't. Bribing politicians to infringe on your rights so they can maintain a ridiculous profit margin is not business, that's corruption. So don't give me that, oh, Yankees anti-business. No, I'm anti-corruption. That's corruption. There's an infringement on our rights. We've suffered under the NFA for decades. We had a glimmer of hope of weakening it, and then maybe getting rid of it. But because big moneyed interests are making money off that infringement, it's staying. And unfortunately, that's been the story for a long time. The NRA helped write legislation that maintained infringements because it was profitable for them. Other organizations, big gun organizations, GOA, etc. Well, they don't want to get rid of things that's profitable to them, even if it is an infringement on your right, because they are not about progress. They are about profit. And unfortunately, this is an example of where profit is the most important thing, not only for the company, but for the politicians who took their money. And like I said, the infringement stands because big money, once again, won. Hey everybody, Yankee here. Before we go, I just want to take a second to remind everyone that this channel is 100% viewer funded. We don't take a penny from advertisers, retailers. We don't take money from political organizations. There's no one telling me what I need to tell you. Everything that we do is done through the generosity of our viewers, either buying merchandise or becoming a patron or a Subscribe Star member. You're all the ones that support Pets and Vets and TYMP. And that's the reason I can stay true to myself and loyal only to the people who watch my channel. And I can spend my time talking about what I want to talk about, telling what I think needs to be said, and giving you my uncensored take on things I think you need to hear. So if you'd like to help keep things that way, please support the channel by becoming a patron, a Subscribe Star supporter, or just going over to my web store and buying some merch. The links are all in the upper corner of this video.